Hey, good day, good afternoon, and wherever you are in the world. My name is Marcel Hyde, channel Marcel Mindset.
One, two, three, four.
I want to remind you guys, please hit that subscribe button below, hit that notification bell, because these are episodes that you don't want to miss out on. For those of you out there, if you're lacking in faith, you're lacking in hope, God is there for you. God is willing to guide you and lead you and direct you. Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of Marcel Mindset TV. This is episode 11. We're working each and every day to bring our audience a lot of value. We're trying to help people grow in every single avenue of their life. So today on the show, we are truly grateful to have Shay Myers on the show. How you doing, Shay?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. I really appreciate you coming on this show because a lot of people need to hear this information, these gems, these jewels that you are going to drop here today. So grab your popcorn and just tune in, listen, and take notes. So for our audience, I'd like to ask you, who is Shay and what motivated you to choose a career in the financial service industry?
Yeah, so I always say that finance chose me. But I am a vibrant, inclusive patient community connector. Over the years, I've realized that that's truly what I do. I connect community in different ways. And I'm a financial educator as well. And like I said, finance found me. I started off as a client, so I didn't know anything about finance about 2 years ago. I became a client. I was taught key financial concepts that really literally changed my life in the span of like 5 months.
Right.
And after applying the knowledge that I learned, I, was inspired to become an educator. I have teaching experience, so that was easy for me. But now to include my experience with finance and improving my own financial situation, here we are.
Yeah.
And my business is Financefortheculture, so very self-explanatory, but I bridge the gap between finance and community by making finance accessible and digestible.
I love that, Shay. I love that. How
Yeah.
finance found you, right?
Yeah.
And now you're helping the world. You're helping so many people with their finances, change the way they look at money, change the way they think about money. So that's fantastic. So thank you for doing that. So on the show, we have so many people that want to learn about money. They want to learn about finances. So
Yeah.
why is financial literacy important? And what are 3 myths out there about money?
So financial literacy is important because once you understand how money works, your entire life can change. Financial literacy isn't really taught in schools at the capacity that it should. And then online, they say like the internet is kind of like a dark hole. Like there's so much information, which can be good. And it also could be not so great. So once you understand how money works, you will most likely spend smarter. You will save more. You will invest sooner. You will tackle your debt a lot better and faster. And all of those things directly impact how fruitful or not fruitful your life will be in the future. So it really is about building a solid financial foundation.
Right.
Simply by understanding like the simple things, like what is the credit system?
Yeah.
When you get a credit card, no one teaches that, right? How to properly tackle debt. No one ever sits down and teaches you how to do these things. But once I learned these things, like last year was super transformative,
Right.
literally 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's never too late either. Like if you're 50 years old and you want to improve your financial situation, you can still do that. So I don't want people to think like, I'm this age, I can't do it.
Right.
Information is a game changer.
Yep. I really like that. I like
Yes.
how you said it's never too late because we have people
Yeah.
here who think it's too late, but it's never too late to start changing your mindset towards money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you asked about myths, right?
Yeah, so I asked, there's a bunch of myths out there about money. So people are always
Yeah.
saying, money's bad or you can't make money or it's you can only make a certain amount of money. So there's so many different myths out there. So my question to you are what are some myths out there about money that you've heard that you'd like to change people's mindset on?
Yeah. So the first thing is life insurance is a scam. I hear that all the time. It's actually a key wealth building tool that wealthy people use to build generational wealth, which just means to pass money down to their children.
Yeah,
And if we think about like the things that wealthy people do, an average wealthy person doesn't like spending money. So how they spend their money and what they put their money towards is key, and we have to pay attention to that, right?
mhm.
Um, Another thing is, our debt will eventually disappear. That's not true.
You
First, there's
wish.
good debt and there's bad debt. Good debt is going to help you build wealth, and bad debt is going to deplete your wealth
Right,
or the amount of money you have. And so, um, if you have a lot of bad debt, like credit card debt or student loans that you haven't paid off, or you constantly max out your credit card, these
right,
behaviors are going to negatively impact the financial decisions that you make later on. They're going to impact how you are able to borrow money in the future if you're able to buy a house.
right.
So ignoring your debt is a big, big no-no. um, and then I would say the last myth is that you have to be rich to invest, which is not true. There are
Oh,
so many ways that you can invest, and you can start with a small amount of money, even as little as like $50 a month, maybe even less, depending on what your interests are and like what your financial goals are.
right.
So again, my whole purpose is making finance accessible. So all of these topics, like you can pay off your debt, you can invest, you can build wealth, you actually can purchase a house if
Right.
you start with the foundation and you build your way up.
Oh, I love that. That's fabulous,
Yeah.
Shay. Thank you so much because you're giving me hope. Because what I've heard
Yes.
before, it's not possible. I've heard people say, you have to wait to invest first. You got to make sure you
Right.
have money to invest. So that's good to know, and I hope our audience hears that. Like, you don't have to be rich
Yeah.
to invest. All your debt is not going to disappear. It's just not going to go away. So attack that. And if you need help with that,
Yeah.
Shay is here to help you. All right. Reach out to
Yes.
Shay. We
Yeah.
will plug all your information at the end. And the third thing that you had said was life insurance is a scam, which it is not. And that is a myth. So Shay is
Hmm.
there to educate you on the importance of life insurance. And we'll discuss that later in the show. All right. So
Yes.
we did talk a little bit about investing in debt. And a lot of people, they want to invest, but they have this massive debt. Let's say it's a student loan. So basically, we have investing and we have debt, right? So people, they want to invest, their money, but at the
Yeah.
same time, they're like, oh, I want to pay off this debt. So my
Yeah.
question to you is how important is investing and is it better to invest or pay off debt?
Right. So a lot of people, the one of the biggest things that people need to realize is that your finances are so individual, they're so personal. So the solutions that I give or that any educator or advisor should give should be tailored towards your specific situation. I've seen clients who are able to pay off debt and invest at the same time. They have enough cash flow. They have enough money. They have an emergency fund saved up. So they don't have to pull out of their investments to take care of an emergency. There are other people who just don't have the cash flow. They don't have any safety net or savings. And they really need to prioritize debt. So it's really dependent on the person. Um, and that's going to determine what I suggest to them. So
Right.
I know people say like you can't do both at the same time. There are people out there who can do five different things at the same time. And there are people out there who need to prioritize one thing at a time.
Exactly.
So it's really dependent on how much money you're bringing in, what
Right.
your expenses look like on a monthly basis, and if you have the disposable income to do both.
Exactly. Okay, I
Yeah.
like that. So it is possible for you guys out there to really invest while you're paying off your debt, break the numbers
Yeah.
down. I know there's a lot of investments out there. We're not going to get into it specifically, but there's a lot of investments are low barrier to entry, and Shay
Exactly.
will be able to help you with
Hmm.
that, right? So you guys got to reach out to Shay.
Yes.
So we did speak about, life insurance briefly. So I want to ask you for our audience that, are kind of going to ask the question of life insurance. What is
Yeah.
life insurance and why is it important?
Yes. So there are two major types of life insurance. There's temporary and permanent, but essentially, for exchange of a monthly premium, there will be a death benefit given to an assigned recipient. So if I have life insurance and I assign my parents as the recipient or the beneficiary,
Yeah,
when I pass away, they would receive the money. This is like the super condensed version. Now, most people think, why would I want to pay into something where when I die, someone else gets the money?
right.
So, like I said, there's two different types. So there's
Mhm.
term, which is temporary. So there's no investments with that insurance. It's simply coverage. So most people don't realize that when people pass away, a lot of families go into debt because they don't have a safety net or an emergency fund to take care of unexpected costs that come with passing away. I know in our community, we don't love talking about it, but
Yeah,
this is the real. So funeral industry is not regulated. In times of distress, you're just going to want to do whatever you think is right. You might get, overcharged. There are
right,
taxes you have to pay. There are so many costs associated with funerals. And
right.
so if the average person doesn't have $50,000 sitting around, what's going to happen? They're going to go into debt taking
Yeah,
care of these costs. So the
exactly.
life insurance basically reduces your chances of going into debt because you will receive a lump sum of money, right? Now, with permanent insurance, there's a cash value or investment component to that. And so it's not just about when you die, but when you're alive, you can actually utilize that cash value, which is how wealthy people build wealth, right? So they utilize that cash value while they're alive. And then when they pass away, their family gets money. So now the family can maintain their lifestyle.
Right.
They don't have to go into debt. They
Wow.
can, pay for the expenses that come up during
Right.
that time, and then they can continue on with their life. And
Yeah.
so it's really about leaving your family in a better position
Right.
than they were when you were alive. And I always
Exactly.
tell people you can leave nothing, debt,
Right.
or money to your family.
Right.
Which one would you want?
Right.
Right? So
I like that.
now, when it comes to insurance, you do have to understand taxation, investing, insurance as a whole, and debt. And so this is why a lot of people kind of run away from it because it is complex, but it can be understood.
Yep.
I didn't know about insurance or how it worked 2 years ago. I have my own policy. I have
Yeah.
multiple policies and I teach it now. So
Right.
if anyone is curious about how it works and how it could benefit them, please reach out because again, information is the missing piece to a lot of people's financial situations.
Right.
And we just want you to be better off so that you're leaving your family better off as well.
Wow. So it's not just about
Yeah.
you, it's about the future generations that are to come. So I
Yep.
really like that.
Exactly.
So thank you for that,
Yeah.
Shay. And for our audience, reach out to Shay and get this information. She just briefly explained that here today, but you want to set your family up for success when you
Yes.
leave. You want to set them up for success, all right? And there's a way to do that. Shay has the information and the knowledge, and she's providing that to us. So thank you very much, Shay. So
Yes.
we talk about, assets and we talk about liabilities, and this is something where, we might see a meme on it or we might see an Instagram post or a
Yeah.
TikTok on it. So many people are confused because one person says a house is an asset, another person says a house is a liability. So,
Mm,
your knowledge, uh, what is the difference between an asset and a liability?
yes. So an asset is anything that builds wealth. and a liability is anything that depletes your wealth. And one thing could actually be both technically, depending on your behaviors and how you use it. So the best thing would be debt. So let's say I used a loan to go and buy a vending machine. Someone would say, well, now you have to pay back that loan. But guess what? That vending machine is going to
Right.
provide me with money,
Yeah.
hopefully consistent monthly income. And now that is an asset, right?
Exactly.
It's the same thing with the house. If you are not prioritizing your payments, or, you're not well educated on how that process works, a home could be a liability instead
Right.
of an asset.
Right.
If you get people to rent it out, you are now earning income that's going to help you pay off the mortgage.
Right.
Versus if you have a house with a mortgage and you're paying it, technically that is a liability until you can now produce money from the house. And
Wow.
so, a lot of people don't really understand debt. And so they think debt is completely bad. But
Right.
guess what? People use debt to earn money and build wealth. We use
Wow.
other people's money to build our own wealth. That's how it should work.
Right.
So once we understand the credit system and how debt works, we actually want to have access to more debt. Me personally, I have about $2,300 of available debt, whether that's credit cards or lines of credits. And I don't have to use all of it, and I don't use all of it. But to know I have access to that means if I want to go invest in something where I don't have the money right now, I can pull from my good debt, use it to buy something, and now earn money from that thing that I bought.
Exactly.
So it's really about understanding debt. And then also we decide our behaviors make things good or bad,
Yeah.
right? So debt is like a neutral thing. If I
Right.
use debt to go buy shoes and clothes and whatever, and I never pay it off, bad debt. If I use debt to go buy assets that are going to pay me, that
Right.
is good debt,
Wow.
right?
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that. I like how you said assets builds wealth and liabilities depletes your wealth.
Yeah.
So, and you said OPM, other people's money
Yes.
to build wealth. That's a jewel
Yeah.
right there, you know. And
Yeah.
like you said, like an asset, you could take money to make more money. If you put yourself in
Yeah.
debt to make money, that's fine. But if you're putting yourself in debt to travel, you're putting yourself in debt for
Yes.
things that are not paying you, you got to reevaluate what you're doing out here because you want to set
Yeah.
yourself up financially. Financial success is important. So
Yeah.
thank you, Shay. So, we talk about, a lot of people talk about creating a budget and so important because sometimes what happens is, end of the month goes by, we spent so much money and we had no idea, like we had this subscription, we had Apple subscription, we had Netflix, we have so many different subscriptions. We don't know where our money's going,
Yeah.
right? So I want to ask you, how important is budgeting and what is the best way to start or create a budgeting plan?
Yes. So a budget is essentially like exposing where your money is going every month. I always suggest people do a monthly budget. So essentially you're taking your monthly income, so everything that's coming in, and then you're listing your monthly expenses, so everything that's going out. And at the end of every month, you should either have money or you don't have money, right? But of that pool of money, let's say at the end of every month, I should have $500, but I realize that I maybe have negative 200.
Right,
We got to figure out where this money is going
right,
and how to essentially get that money back, whether it's increasing our cash flow or reducing our expenses or prioritizing, like tackling our debt. But
right.
it's going to give us a snapshot of where our money is going. Can you believe that like most people don't know what their monthly expenses are? They don't know how much their phone bill is. They don't include pet food as an expense. They don't even know what their debt looks like, how much they owe, what their monthly payments are. So every time they get paid, they're just spending money.
Right.
And so a budget really organizes your money and
Mm-hmm.
it tells you where your money should be going. So if you list everything out, it's going to tell you $1,000 is what your expenses cost. Maybe $3,000 is what you're bringing in. Maybe total debt is $20,000. How do we move your money around so that you can save, pay off debt,
Right.
start investing. I always say that a budget is going to tell you where your money should go instead of you trying to figure out where it went,
Right.
right? We want to be proactive. And I think something that we should remember is with finance, we want to be proactive instead of reactive.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of us just kind of like floating through life and, okay, as long as we get a paycheck, we're good. No, we need to plan out the paycheck. We need to organize our money and we need to tell our money where it needs to go.
Right. I really like
Yeah.
that because it's so important to be proactive instead of reactive, and pay
Yeah.
attention to where your money is going. It's so key. Organize your money and where your money should be going. That's the benefits of having a budgeting plan. So make sure you guys are
Yeah.
doing that for yourself because you could be making $100,000, but yet you're saving less than the person who's making $50,000 because they're aware of their money.
Yeah.
So it's
That
key that
part.
you're watching your money. And if you need assistance with that, Shay can help you with that budgeting plan. All right?
Yes. Can I quickly add something?
Yes.
So I know some of you may have heard of like the savings ratio. So it might say, spend 50% of your income on expenses, 20% on saving and 30% on wants. That's kind of typically the ratio. And a lot of people have asked me like why I don't teach that ratio or suggest that ratio. And it's simply because it's not customized enough. So depending on your specific situation, should you be spending more on expenses than savings? Should you be spending more on wants than savings?
Right.
It's so individual. So I like to use a budget where again, you list your income, your expenses, and we figure out what your disposable income at the end of every month looks like, and then divide that into the necessary areas, right? Because again, like some people have the ability to save way more than they're spending.
Wow.
And in general, you should be saving more than you're spending on wants.
Right.
Or at least if you're spending more on expenses, which are typically things that you need than wants, that's the kind of ratio that we want. So if
Mm-hmm.
you use the 50-20-30, like no shade or shame, if that works for you, do it. But again, I like using real customized formulas and budgets because it's literally for that person.
Right. Specific to that person, which is important. It's
Yeah,
not just some cookie cutter program that you're getting here. So
exactly.
I
Yeah,
so you got to reach out to Shay. And it's so important. I just want to hold and pause the show for a minute because we take care
yeah,
of our mental health. We take care of our physical health. But are we taking care of our financial health, guys? It's so important,
yes,
right? So I'm so grateful that we have someone like you that can support people on that financial journey because we have fitness
yeah,
people here who help people on their fitness journey. We have mental health professionals that help people on their mental health journey. But
yeah,
what about our financial journeys? One of the most important things in life, money. We need it. And that's the
yeah,
reality. So, here on the show, I hope that we have a large audience of high school students because my goal is to help our younger generation make better
yeah.
decisions than I did and other people did, right? So they can be in a better position than I am, right? So
Yeah.
if you were in front of a group of high school kids, what would you tell them about money?
Yeah, so, hmm, there's so much, but I think I would tell them that they're in such an amazing position to build their financial house. I like to teach finances as a house, right? You want to start from the bottom, the foundation,
Hmm.
and you want to build your way up instead of starting with the roof or starting with the windows, like your house is going to fall.
Yeah.
So they're in such a great position, the younger they are, to build a solid foundation when it comes to finance.
Mhm.
And, as I mentioned earlier, I said that information is key. Information and time are the only differences between wealthy people and everybody else.
Wow.
Wealthy people understand how money works, and they most likely started when they were young because their parents passed on that information, right? So the younger you start, the more time you have to save money, to
Yep.
invest, to, utilize other people's money and utilize good debt to buy assets.
Right.
So, they should be inspired to start now because they have so much time ahead of them. And that's usually what the problem is, like once you get older, your time horizon just decreases. And again, not to say you can't make amazing changes, but
Right.
you have less time to do it. And
Right.
so we always say like time is of the essence. We say
Right.
that time is invaluable. We say that you can't get time back. Well, that's true, right?
True. Yeah.
So I would encourage them to start as soon as possible so that they have longer.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
The value of time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get more
Hmm.
money, but you can't get more time. So
Yeah.
value your time. And I like how you say
Yeah.
our younger generation, like most of you guys who are under 19 are probably living at home. So you have that opportunity to save
Yes.
so much money. So when you're working in the
Yeah.
summers, instead of buying the latest Jordans or the new Gucci Louis Vuitton shirt that, you know what, your friends don't really care if you have that shirt. What is even more
Yeah.
important is if you take that money and you save it, or you take that money and hey, instead of spending $900 on a Gucci or Louis V shirt, you put it in an Apple stock and you just leave it there, you know?
Yeah.
So you have so much time on your hands. You have so much time, so make sure you're utilizing that time. So I hope the younger
Yes.
generation, the younger audience hears this and they say, you know what? Instead of taking all my paycheck and buying Jordans, I'm going to take at least half of it and put it away or save it or put it into something or reach out to Shay so she can help you make the best financial decision. Thank you, Shay.
Yes. I
So,
got one more point
yeah,
on that because I
add
think
it
it's
in,
so
add it in.
important.
Yes, you're adding so much value.
Like
Keep adding in.
I, and I really do this when I do have like younger, people reach out to me, whether it's for mentorship or to ask about scholarships and stuff like that. The sooner we love ourselves and learn ourselves,
Right,
the better our life will be because our self-love and confidence or lack thereof directly affects our financial decisions.
yeah,
And so, you're saying like, oh, like your friends don't really care what you wear. Like that phase of like wanting to wear the flyest gear, it's like, I wish I never spent money on buying the latest trend because I don't own any of those things
yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
And once you buy things, it's so hard to sell them. Like it
yeah,
takes 2 seconds to buy these things that we
right.
don't need. And then when we want to try and sell them, it's like we might be waiting months to try to get that money back. So if you feel like you're the only person who's focusing on your finances and you feel like the black sheep of the family or the friend group, who cares? Because you're going to be in a way better way
Right,
in the next, 2 to 3 years, six
right,
years, 10 years. So don't feel pressure to like do what everybody else is doing. You
right,
have your own life for a reason. And just remember, how you feel about yourself directly affects how you treat other people and your
right.
financial decisions. So you just want to make sure that you are doing things that make sense for you.
Sure, that's valuable. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Shay, for dropping that,
Yeah.
because sometimes we just get caught up in this whole era on social media and we see other people doing things, so now we start doing it, but it's not helping
Yeah.
us, right? So you want to make better decisions out there, which is in turn going to help you in your future. Get away from instant gratification lifestyle,
Yes.
right? Wait it out because today you might not have it, but in the next 5 years you'll be in an even better position.
Yeah.
Right? So thank you, Shay. So we right now, we see on TikTok, every other TikTok says, I quit my 9 to 5 job, right? And we live in this generation where like everyone's like, oh, be your own boss, don't work for somebody else. And you know, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do that because that's helped me build an amazing life and it's progressed me so far. So I'm not knocking the 9 to 5. But we
Yeah.
have an audience out here that, they just feel like there's something else. They think that, or they
Hmm.
believe that, there's another way. And there is another way, right? And it's not
Yeah.
easy. So, what would you say to the person that wants to quit their 9 to 5 job to focus on their side hustle?
Yeah. So again, going with everyone is different and, my suggestions for them would be based on them. There's
Yeah,
so many people who don't even have an emergency fund, which is a pool of money or a safety net if an emergency hits the fan, whether that's
Right.
wisdom tooth removal, whether that's your dog, I don't
Right.
know, broke its leg, like anything that comes up, most people don't have funds to take care of that. So what do? They have to tap into their debt and now they owe money. So if I always say use your 9 to 5 to fuel your side hustle, right? Like if you're going to be getting a consistent paycheck,
Yeah.
use that to build up an emergency fund, get some savings under your belt, tackle your debt, and then also invest into your side business. I think a lot of the times we rush things because we're watching other people, we're watching other people's pockets, we're watching other people's lives, and it's like it's your life.
Yeah.
You like when you rack up your credit card, no one is helping you pay that off.
Exactly.
You know, when you spend all of your money in the span of 2 days, and then
Right.
you got to wait 2 weeks to get paid again, like it's you. And
Right.
so there's certain things that you should have in place before you quit your 9 to 5. Like
Right.
I mentioned, you know, you want to have your emergency fund. You want to make sure that most of your debt is taken care of, stuff like that. And my 9 to 5 helped me literally change my financial situation in the span of 5 months. You know, I buckled down and I saved. And
Right.
so I think that it's really dependent on what your specific situation looks like.
Right.
But we also have to remember when it comes to social media, we are shown highlight reels. We are shown the great points of
Right.
people's lives.
Yeah.
Shout out to the people who show the struggles, but a lot of people don't.
Exactly.
And so if you think that you're going to quit your 9 to 5 and then your side hustle is going to blow up, but you're not financially, mentally,
Right.
business-y prepared,
Yeah.
it's, you know, not to say you're not going to succeed, but why wouldn't you want to build that foundation
Right.
so that your your side hustle has a better chance of staying afloat? So I
Exactly.
always go back to the foundation.
Hmm.
Don't be quitting your 9 to 5 if you don't have savings or an emergency fund. Don't be
Right.
quitting your 9 to 5 if you have all this debt and no savings, right? We want to make sure that you are setting yourself up for the best success.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that because so many people are so quick to say, you know what? I'm just gonna quit my 9 to 5 and just go all into my side hustle, and then they wake up the next day
Yeah.
and realize there's no money coming in, right? Where they had that stable income,
Yeah.
right? So if you
Yeah.
work 9 to 5, what are you doing between the hours of 5 to 9, 5 to 10, 5 to 11,
Yeah.
right? If you're truly passionate about something and you really want to get out of your 9 to 5, you're going to use those other hours to build your side hustle, you know, so
Yeah.
then you can eventually transition into your side hustle, which becomes a full-time thing. So I like how
Yeah.
you're setting people up for success, you know, not for failure. You know, make sure you have that emergency fund, like you said.
Yeah.
Like you said, the reels and stuff like that, they show all the good side of things, you know, but you don't see the other side.
Yeah.
You don't see the failure, and you don't see maybe someone was living in a homeless shelter, or maybe somebody was living with their parents for a
Yeah.
long time. You know, you don't see those things. You just see the cars, and you see the money and all this, but you don't see the other side, right? So don't get fooled
Yeah.
by the social media. You know, there is good stuff out there, and I've learned a lot out there, but do
Yes.
not get fooled. So thank you, Shay, for offering that value. So I just want to say,
And a couple more points. A
yeah,
couple more
keep
points.
adding, keep adding.
Because this is the thing, right?
Yeah.
So like, okay, it's glorified and I want people to be more honest about it. Entrepreneurship is great. I don't have to answer to anybody, but guess
Right.
who I have to answer to?
Right.
Me.
Yeah.
I've created such a solid morning routine because I operate best when I have structure, even though that's not like my personality, or I don't generally like enjoy structure, but I need it to be productive because of how spontaneous I am.
Right.
I have to parent myself. I have to set my schedule. I have to adhere to the schedule. You know, if I don't work, I don't make money. That's just a
Exactly.
reality of what I specifically do.
Yep.
And that's the part that people don't really talk about. It's like, oh, I don't have a boss. I can work whenever I want. I can sleep in. And
Yep.
it's like, you're not going to get very far if that's your mindset. You really have to create some sort of schedule or structure. It is a job. I have a job, 9 to 8. I've created my schedule.
Mhm.
You know, there's certain elements of a 9 to 5 that you have to implement when you
Right.
become an entrepreneur. So
Right.
yes, owning your time and owning how much money you can make and having no income cap or ceiling
Right.
is the goal. because you don't want anyone to be able to take your job from you. But
Right.
again, are you prepared for
Exactly.
it? You don't want to dive in head first and then you have to go crawling back to a job, right?
Right.
So just be mindful. Yes, owning your own time and money and not having to work for anybody is the end goal, but
Right.
you don't want to do it prematurely because I think that can hurt more than it can help.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's so valuable because a lot of people need to
Yeah.
hear that, right? Thank you very much, Shay. So we talk about mindset. You just dropped the word mindset. So I'm happy you dropped that word because this
Yes.
is Marcel Mindset TV. Because I feel like people neglect mindset so much that I created this Mindset TV.
Yeah.
To me, everything's a mindset, you know? Mindset is everything in the sense where what is your mindset towards money? What is your mindset towards your life? What is your mindset towards believing that you're going to create
Yeah.
the future that you want for yourself? Do you believe that it's possible? You believe that you're not going to make it happen. So mindset to me is everything. And I really want to emphasize your mindset is going to dictate your future and how far you go in this life. So you want to
Yeah.
develop a certain type of mindset and a strong mindset and a positive mindset. So Shay, I
Hmm.
want to ask you because you have, to me, you have this mindset where, you think big, you're positive, you inspire
Thanks.
people. You have this mindset that so many people need, right? They're
Hmm.
gonna want to take your mindset and fill themselves with it because it's gonna help them in this lifetime succeed in all
Yeah.
avenues of their life. So I want to ask you, what does mindset mean to you, and how do you keep a strong mindset?
So, I think your mindset and again, like self-love, confidence, knowing yourself are directly connected.
Hmm.
And that's why it should almost be like a course in school
Yeah,
where young folks are taught different tactics on how to build self-confidence, how to fall in love with themselves, how to identify their strengths, their areas of improvement,
right,
their triggers and stuff like that, because that's so important. And once you're comfortable with yourself and you actually like yourself and you're confident, that is going to directly tie in with your mindset
right,
and also how you view rejection. Like I read this book called Rejection Proof. It's one of my favorite books. Anyone who knows me knows I talk about it all the time. And essentially the author goes around purposely trying to get people to tell him no so he can build up this resilience against the word no.
right.
Think of how many people get crushed by rejection. They
Yeah,
didn't get that job. It's the end of the world. Someone breaks up with them. It's the end of the world. And it's really not. It's literally the beginning of a new world.
yes,
And if you have that mindset, unstoppable.
right.
Like on a monthly basis, I pitch myself to different organizations to work with them.
Yeah,
Some respond, some don't.
right,
Next, having that keep going, next, it's okay, we move mindset is so powerful because it doesn't matter what happens, I'm good with myself.
right,
And you build that kind of mindset by surrounding yourself with people who have that mindset, by
right,
filling up your or consuming content by people who also have that mindset.
right.
Positive content, also content that's representative of who you are, how you look, you know. And reading is great. So reading different books can also provide you that perspective.
Right.
Um, watching videos of, prominent leaders or even
Yep.
certain celebrities, maybe celebrities in business or just people that you admire. And then also having a mentor. So, or multiple mentors. So people who can teach you
Right.
things that you're interested in, people who know more than you and people who are going to pour into you positively, right? So this mindset has been, I would say, many years in the making, and it's not going to stop. Like I'm going to gain new knowledge
Yeah.
and develop and grow more,
Right.
but it's really the confidence that I have in myself and how
Right.
comfortable I am with who I am.
Right.
That I always say is the beginning. Because if you don't have that, you're going to be easily negatively influenced you're not going to be able to believe in yourself. You're not going to go for that job because you don't believe in yourself.
Right.
It connects to so many things. So self-love is the beginning of a strong mindset. I would say that.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Self-love is the beginning of a strong mindset.
Yeah.
That is so valuable, Shay. That information, what you just told us, thank you very much for that because so many people lack self-confidence, and and that's
Yeah.
fine. That's okay, but you got to find a way to build your confidence, whether that be through hiring a mentor, reading books, studying, whatever it takes. You got to build
Yeah.
that self-confidence, because that is what is going to help you and propel you into your success in this lifetime. So I like how you
Yeah.
talked about rejection. Do not be afraid of rejection. Rejection is a part of life. You're not only going to get it in your
Yeah.
workplace, you're going to get it in the relationship, you're going to get it. You're not always going to get what you want, and that's the reality of life. But like you said a
Yeah.
key word. You said next. That is
Yeah.
mindset right there. Next.
Yeah.
Hear a no, to hear you're not good enough, and to be like, I know I'm good enough. I don't
Yeah.
need you to tell me that I'm good enough. I know I'm good enough, so I'm going to continue to go. And that's what's going to get you
Yeah.
success, right? And Shay's on
Yeah.
that path. We hear it from you today. You're living in your truth. You're authentic. And if you weren't authentic
Thank
in your
you.
truth, you would not be saying the things you are saying. It's coming out so
Yeah.
naturally, right?
Oh,
It comes
thanks.
right? So thank you, Shay. So we are wrapping up the show, and me personally, like I've learned so much. Like I have a page full of notes. I hope
Love that.
I hope other people are taking notes because like I want to grow, I want to get better, but I also want to help other people get better. That's my objective is to
Yeah.
help everyone grow because I feel like people have so much information, people have so much knowledge that can help us.
Yeah.
So I want to just ask you this last question here before we conclude the show. What is one thing that you have learned on this journey that you think would help our audience?
One thing. Hmm.
And
If
let
you commit,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
if you commit. No, I was just gonna say that for me, it's to learn from everyone, right? Learn from everyone. Everyone has something
Yeah.
that they could teach you, right? Because for me, it could be
Yeah.
a homeless person, it could be the person on their job, it could be the garbage man. I've learned from everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone has been on a journey that they've learned something because you're not going to live this life without learning something. So for me, it's
Yeah.
learn from everyone. Everyone has something that they could teach you. So that's for me. How about you,
Yes.
Jay?
I agree. I definitely agree. I always say like I've learned so many things from children.
Yeah.
Especially when you think of like children are typically so fearless and they don't really care what people think until society kind of starts to mold them.
Yeah.
So I think there we can learn from them so much. And I would say once you become a student or once you commit to becoming a student of life,
Yeah.
you will, it'll change your life really.
Yeah.
When you admit or understand that you don't know everything and that
Mm-hmm.
not everything is about you, that's another thing.
It's not
So
about.
commit to being a student. So always be willing to learn from
Yeah.
people, no matter who it is. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to agree with them. You don't have to actually take their advice, but at least listen and be willing to hear them out. And then the other thing is not everything is about you. So we have to get better at um, self-control and not jumping to respond at everything because sometimes it's not about you.
It's not
And
about you.
sometimes people are projecting onto you and you
Right.
just need to, be still
Mm-hmm.
and receive what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really, I don't get into a lot of conflict because I've adopted these things,
Right.
but I've also avoided a lot of conflict because when things happen, I'm not like right away. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that person did this. It didn't have anything to do with me. Okay. And moving on
Exactly.
versus other people might retaliate back or yell back or whatever. I'm
Mhm.
just cool, calm, collected most of the time.
Right.
And I realized that having a very calm demeanor
Mhm.
saves me from a lot. So be a student, learn from everyone, and also not everything is about you. And yeah,
Wow.
those are, I know that was three,
That's
but
fine.
yeah, I would say those
That's
are
amazing. That's
major
phenomenal.
lessons.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
big lessons. Be a student. I really like that. And always be willing to learn. And not everything's about you. You know, someone could
Yeah.
just lash out at you, but it's nothing personal towards you. It's what they're going through. So I really like those
Yeah.
lessons that you've talked about and you provided our audience here today. So that wraps up the show. I mean, like this is just phenomenal. Like this is the most notes I've ever had on a show. You know, this was an educational session for me. You know, I didn't know it was going to be like this. So I'm happy with the way things went here today. And I really hope our audience learns something here. If you take one thing from this,
Yes.
that's a positive. If it's just one thing, you know, it's going to help you
Mhm.
grow as a person, as an individual, because it's all about growth. You know, it's all about helping people out here develop, you know, different areas of their life. And this one today was focusing on your financial health. We got to focus on that. And we
Yes.
neglect that so much, but it's so important, you know? It's so important in the sense where it dictates where we go in life, right? Like if we want to live somewhere, we need to make sure our finances are straight. They're right. So make sure you guys are focusing on your finances. So Shay, thank you
Yes.
very much for coming on the show. I just want to say for our audience, because I know, you know, it might be tomorrow, it might be here, it might be 2 years, but when someone sees this, they're going to want to reach out to you because you're not going to want to miss out on
Yes.
this opportunity that Shay's providing because the person she is today is not going to be the same person in 2 years. She's going to continue to grow and develop because she's on this path, right? So,
Yes.
Shay, how can people reach you?
Yes. So Finance for the Culture is the Instagram page. I have my booking link as well. I just launched my website as well. So that's financefortheculture.ca, and you can book a complimentary consultation
Okay.
because again, with the with my mission of making finance accessible, I offer complimentary consultations. And I
Right.
think that's so important because a lot of people are already kind of afraid to talk about their finances and stuff. So I want to make it as easy as possible for them to talk about it and also take action. And I also want people not to feel overwhelmed because again, like finance is a whole new world, but we're
Yeah.
going to start with where you are. So if
Yes.
you don't know anything about finance, that is fine. We're going to start at the bottom with the foundation and we're going to build your financial health up. So if you need help, please reach out and I would be more than happy to help you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Financefortheculture.ca. Visit that website today. All right, guys. And Finance for
Yes.
the Culture on Instagram. That's fabulous. So thank you very, very much for coming on the show.
No
Every-
problem.
Fabulous. Remember, guys, subscribe to the channel, click that like button below, and please share the video to someone that you think could benefit from this video today. All right. So Shay, again, thank you. It was honestly a pleasure. I learned so much and best of luck on
Yay.
your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you and take care. Bye for now.